name is Athena, and in this video I'm going to talk to you to all the books that I read in April. And I will also mention my current read. I have a new t-shirt that says I have no self-control, and I thought I'd put on specifically for this video because it seems appropriate. First off, this is going to be a long video because I would prefer not to split this one up, but a lot of the books that I read in April are about some of the same subject or themes. A lot of it is non-fiction actually, and so it feels more appropriate to me to talk about them in the same video. So if you don't have lots of time right now, that's okay. Maybe save this video for when you do, or watch it in parts, or well, I don't know. But also this will probably be like the only video that I'm putting up in May, possibly, so you have the whole month. So today is the 30th of April. April's not quite over, but the chance of me finishing my current read today is, but I will talk about my current read later. So my reading in April was a bit different. If you've watched any of my this year's videos, specifically the book thoughts videos, I may have mentioned a couple of times then that my reading this year so far hasn't been how it usually is. At least I think I mentioned. So usually I just read one book at once, or sometimes if I do a buddy read, then I read the buddy read and then one book for myself alongside it, for those days where after I finish the buddy read pages I still want to read some more of something. But I don't normally read lots of books at once. It has happened before. My ADD likes to do it, but my autism side wants to do like one book at once. I can't really read like many fiction books at once because that is just very confusing to me. But yeah, this month I kind of ended up reading 11 books at once, most of which were non-fiction, and yeah. So the first 5 books I finished in the first few days of April. So the first 5 books, these ones, I finished in earlier in the month. Actually, these first 4 books I finished in the beginning of April. 3 of these I actually started reading in March. Or was it February? I don't even know. This was a buddy read. I'll get to that. And then these ones are all non-fiction. These 2 I started the 18th of March and I finished them yesterday, so the 29th of April. The other ones I started on the 5th or 6th of April, depending on the book, and I finished them the day before yesterday, so the 28th of April. I have not been feeling great mental health wise, and I think for my reading it will be helpful, and also for my mental health, if I try to, you know, not read 10 books at once like I did for most of the month, because the other book that I was reading alongside these is my current read, but we'll get to that. So yeah, I haven't been feeling great mental health wise, which is probably why my reading was also a bit unusual, maybe, I don't know. So I was trying to figure out some of this mental health stuff and why I was not feeling as great, because I don't want to put too much detail in this video, because really this is about books, but also, yeah, I tried before to make a long video about my mental health and various other issues that I was struggling with at that time. I want to say this was maybe in February, and I had like 2 hours of footage. The edited video became an hour, and I ended up not putting it up in the end because I was unhappy with it for various reasons, but that was a bit of wasted effort perhaps. So yeah, near the end of the month something happened that kind of put things in a bit of perspective. Yeah, anyway, let's hope everything will work out. Sorry for being vague. I'm very sleepy today. So I will talk about the books in the order that I finished them, and then at the end I'll talk about my current read. As usual, timestamps will be in the description of the video, although I might talk about some of the books alongside each other because some of the subjects are the same. Yeah. So here's hoping that May will be a bit better month for me. We will see. So the first book that I finished in April, but I think I read this for a large part in March as well. I may have started in February. I don't even remember. I can look it up if I want to, but anyway, is So You Want to Talk About Race by Ijeoma Oluo. And this was a really good non-fiction read. In fact, all the books this month were good to great. I tend to DNF a book if I don't like it, but anyway. So it's been a while since I read this book, but yeah, I really like this. So this book is basically has various chapters in it about things to do when you talk about racism. So some of the things it talks about, let's say, so a lot of them are posed as questions, the chapters. So like, is it really about race? What if I talk about race wrong? What is intersectionality and why do I need it? How can I talk about affirmative action? What is the school to prison pipeline? Why can't I touch your hair? What are microaggressions? What is the model minority myth? Well, and a couple more. This is written by a black author, and like the school to prison pipeline mostly refers to the United States, just so you know. So this book is not like about the Netherlands specifically or anything, because I live in the Netherlands, for those who don't know. This is more about like United States focus. I wanted to read it, and it was also like a nice like size for my small hands, and it was a nice price. And yeah, I had been recommended this, I don't even remember by who, sorry, it's pretty multiple people, but anyway. Yeah, and I found this a nice useful read, and one I will probably reread, in fact, or at least parts of it. In fact, that counts for a lot of the non-fiction books this month. Yeah, and it's a bit hard to distinguish them sometimes, because I kind of read a lot of them all at the same time. Anyway, so I might mention this book again later on in comparison with other books, or I don't know yet. Or I was actually going to film a video when I read like the first couple of books, but then I waited too long because I couldn't do it at the time, and yeah, anyway. So the second book that I finished this month is Fattily Ever After by Stefani Yeboah, and this is a black fat girl's guide to living life unapologetically. So this is a memoir written by a black fat woman, and this talks about the intersectionality between being black and fat, racism and fatphobia, obviously part of this book. This is her debut. I really liked it. It also has some really nice illustrations and formatting and stuff. And this book taught me a lot. I am also fat, for those who don't know, I'm white. Yeah, well, the book talked about a bunch of different, so I call it memoir, but it also has a lot of like information. Here are some of the chapter titles if you want to know more. So it's talking about positivity movement, like the stereotypical sassies and mammies, which I didn't know those terms before reading this book, although some of the later books that I've read this month have mentioned them. Let me see if I can see. So it's like the four most common, sorry, I can't read it backwards, the four most common stereotypical character tropes we see on TV. Just the black mama fat character, the sassy best friend character, the all my life I've had to fight fat character, the hypersexual TSA agent fat character. Anyway, so yeah, this talks about a lot of important things, and I remember correctly, this author lives in the UK. I related to some things, and obviously being a white person I didn't relate to some other things, which makes total sense. But yeah, I thought this was a really good, very important book. The next book is Het Antiracismehandboek by Chanel Matil Lodik. This is a book, and translated the title is The Anti-Racism Manual. This is written by a Dutch author, so it's more specific towards the Netherlands, although she mentions also things in the United States. I follow her on Instagram. I've been following her on Instagram for a while, and then when I saw that she was writing a book, I wanted to have it, also because of the subject, and I thought now that, you know, because I'm reading a lot of books about racism this month, which is just that happened, and I thought it was good to read that now. Anyway, this was a really good book as well. This is in Dutch. I don't think there are many books about this subject in Dutch, like originally written in Dutch about the Netherlands and other. Now I think, for example, this book. So we want to talk about it. I think that has been translated into Dutch, but that's not the same as a book that talks. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Anyway, so Chanel is a black woman. I would definitely recommend this book. I thought it was really, really good, and I think I will try and get some of the family members that I have to read it. I thought it was really good. There's also nice illustrations in here sometimes, and like I really like the layout. It explains some of the terms that I have also seen explained in so you want to talk about race, but it also mentions like the Dutch term versus the English term, and some terms don't have a Dutch translation, which she also mentions. I think at the back there is like an English to Dutch. I don't know if you can see that. Like, do you call it? Is it like glossary or? Yeah, would definitely recommend this book. The next book I finished was a fiction book, and this is Watch Us Rise by Renée Watson and Ellen Hagan. And this book also has to do with racism, but this is a young adult contemporary fiction. I picked this book up. Well, one, I have read a book before by Renée Watson. This one here, I read some places more than others. This is a middle grade contemporary fiction. This was recommended to me by my friend Olivia from Olivia's Catastrophe, and I love this. Because I love this, I picked up more of the author's books. So that's one reason why I picked this up, and the other one is that I think it was Kayla from Books and Lada who read this book a while ago. But yeah, anyway, I wanted to also read something fictional alongside these non-fiction reads, so I started this one. And this read pretty quickly. Now, it's been a while since I read this. So this book is written from the point of two characters, Jasmine and Chelsea. I feel like Renée Watson wrote Jasmine's point of view and wrote Chelsea's point of view. If that's true, I don't know for sure if that's true though. So Renée Watson is a black author. I don't know anything about Alan Hagan. So Jasmine is black and fat. I found her the more interesting of the two. The other character we have is Chelsea. But here's the synopsis on the back. So these two girls are best friends. This book is also about activism and art, and so we kind of alter perspectives per chapter. This book does have some trigger warnings though. But Jasmine's dad has cancer, and well, okay, it's actually the first line. The first line is, and I'm reading a quote now, "I'm a month away from starting my junior year of high school, and I just found out my father only has 4 months to live." So that's one of the themes in this book that Jasmine struggles with, but also a trigger warning in case that's something that you don't want to read about. They have two friends as well, so it's like it's kind of like 4 of them. There's Nadine and Isaac. But yeah, it's been a while since I read this, so I don't quite remember. But I remember I really liked this. There are also some pieces of like poems and blog posts. I will just talk about the synopsis. So the two of them want to create art that matters. And Chelsea realizes that her school doesn't value her poetry at the poetry club at school that she's in. So Chelsea writes poetry, and Jasmine finds that Jasmine finds that theatre club, says at the back, is just drama, which when you see what happens, that I totally get that she feels that way. And so they start a new group, like a new club at school, because everybody has to be in a club, dedicated to putting women's ideas front and center, because they know that art can disrupt and change the world. So yeah, we get some of the pieces of that they write and stuff like that, which I really liked. Themes of friendship in this book as well, and well, it's been a while, so I apologize, this is not the most coherent bit, but I really like this. The next book is a buddy read. I buddy read the next Percy Jackson book with Emily from Novell Novels. We also buddy read the first book together, and I'll try to link the video of that in the description. So this is the second book in the series. This is Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters. And we both love this. This one was a bit shorter than the first book. It's only 265 pages. But we kind of flew through it and it was really enjoyable. Yeah, I can't really say much about the synopsis given that it's book 2, maybe. But yeah, I thought this was a really enjoyable sequel. And I'm excited to read the next one. So yeah, there was quite a bit of action. Sometimes I was like, well, now I want a more quieter bit, but overall I really liked it. So now the bit we get to now is the 9 non-fiction books that I was reading all at once alongside my one fiction read that I'm still currently reading that we'll get to. So the first of those books that I finished is Twisted by Emma Dabiri in the UK. Because this is the US edition with the US title. The UK title is Don't Touch My Hair. And the subtitle of this version is The Tangled History of Black Hair Culture. This was recommended to me, I think, by Olivia from Olivia's Catastrophe. Well, here's a synopsis. And, well, it's kind of the subtitle says. This is about the history of black hair. And I thought this book was really interesting. Not always damn white. So if you want an own voices review, I would recommend Olivia from Olivia's Catastrophe. So I think she talked about, I'm pretty sure that's where I learned about this book. Though I know I've seen it on a couple other channels as well. But and yeah, I thought this was a really interesting read. There's also some pictures in it. Some, like, yeah, I don't know if I can really show them. And yeah, I thought this was a really interesting read. So yeah, it talks about the history and yeah, some of the things I never knew. Cause I thought it was really interesting to. This was a great book. We're getting on to the next book now, which is White Rage by Carol Anderson, and the subtitle is The Unspoken Truth of Our Racial Divide. This is a US-based book. Here is the synopsis. So this is about the history of the United States with regards to racism. I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, but I learned a lot. Now I'm from the Netherlands, so I know some things about the history of the United States, but not lots. I mean, I don't live there. I've never been there, so things I know I've learned from books and other people, and possibly also like movies, but I don't know, not all that could have been accurate, could be very biased, so yeah. Anyway, this was very enlightening to me. I didn't know some of these things. So here is the chapters, and particularly a lot of these details, so I knew, but just the extent and yeah, so this made a lot of things clear for me. I will say, so this is the book, yeah? So the book is, well, let's say about 287 pages, but the actual, like, chapters, and here, and this is all notes. Well, notes and an index, but most of it's notes and then a small index, so just so you know, because that's something I like to know when I start reading a book, when it ends. Which always surprises me on the Kindle, because then you can't like flip back and forth. So when I saw this, I put a note here, like a bookmark. But yeah, this was really interesting, I thought. And definitely, I think for people who live in the United States, a particular good read. Particularly, white people who don't know a lot about this stuff. I thought this was really interesting. I hope we're going forward in a good way. Because it doesn't really seem like it yet if you read this book, and I'll believe that. That was a really good book as well. The next book is Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race by Reni Eddo-Lodge. This is written by a black woman who lives in the UK. So this is more focused on the UK, and I think this cover is like, you can't really see the light, but it says white people there. 2 white people actually. I don't think you can quite see it with the way that the camera is like picking that up, but yeah, I think that's really just like this book, White Rage, is so you have the black and then it gets teared open and you find White Rage. So I just think that they thought about these colours and I think that's nice. So this one, where I'm no longer talking to white people by race, is more specific to Britain, as it says here in the back, on the back. Now, I don't live in Britain. I have been there. My boyfriend is from the UK, so he grew up there. But I don't know a lot about like Britain's politics. But yeah, I thought this book was really interesting. Yeah, I really liked it. It talked about a variety of things, and yeah, race and class. It talks about the feminism question, what is white privilege, which that's a term that is in various of these books, and it's very important. The system, histories. Yeah, I thought this was a really good read as well, particularly for people who live in Britain, who are particularly white people, I would say. Though I'm sure there's also people of colour who are not as aware of certain things. Anyway, I hope that sounded okay. Yeah, I really like this one a lot. Then we have Hood Feminism by Mikki Kendall, and the subtitle is Notes from the Women White Feminists Forgot. This book I think was recommended by Kayla from Books and Lala. So this one is, I think, also US based. There's the synopsis on this side. And yeah, this was really interesting as well. Yeah, so this book had quite a few chapters, and the author also talks about some of her own experiences. So basically this talks about a lot of the things that white feminists often forget about, such as intersectionality of being a woman and black. Although later on it also mentions like disability and yeah, I thought this was a really good read as well. Sorry, yeah, I was reading a lot of these books at once, or like a chapter in each, and so yeah, it's not always clear in my head what bit belongs in what book, if that makes sense, which is probably not the best idea my brain's ever had. But and definitely I think a lot of these non-fiction books will be ones to reread or sections to reread. Okay, so the next book is Black Fatigue by Mary Frances Winters. The subtitle is How Racism Erodes the Mind, Body and Spirit, and I can't quite remember who recommended this to me. So if you're watching and you know it was you, yeah, feel free to mention it and I will put your link in the description, but I don't remember. But I'm sure it must have been somebody. So yeah, this is about Black Fatigue. Here is the illustration in the beginning. This was a really good read as well. Here's the chapters, and yeah, I learned a lot from this book as well. So the author talks, so chapter 1 is about specifically her like fatigue, then we get some chapters more like information, and the last 3 chapters are about how it's specifically related to black women and then black men. The last chapter is black kids. That was the second to last chapter. I think the last chapter is the conclusion. Well, not quite. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, so the health, yeah, how it says, so the title is there, Racism Literally Makes You Sick. Then Is Now, it's chapter 3. Anyway, yeah, I just thought this book was really a good read, and it does much better explaining things than I do. That's really the case for all these books, I would say. All these non-fiction books, just read them would be a lot better than listening to me as a white person. That's just read these books by black authors, I think. And obviously also books by other authors, of course. Okay, so the next book I finished is We Are Displaced by Malala Yousafzai. My story and stories from refugee girls around the world. This part is Malala's story of her own displacement. And then the rest of it is stories from other displaced refugee girls. In the middle of the book here are some pictures. And yeah, I thought this was a really nice read as well. Really interesting. And just I feel for some of these people in the sense that like what they've gone through, right? But the fact that they're all such amazing people and doing such amazing things, and yeah, just read it. Yeah, no, I really liked it. I do feel that based on how it read, and I mean I did classify it as adult in my statistics now I think about it, but it was easier to read this book than some of the other non-fiction books I read this month. So I don't know if that, it makes me wonder if adult was the target market for this, or whether I was maybe wrong and the target market was also younger people than adults. But either way, I really like this. Yeah. The next book I read is We Have Always Been Here by Samra Habib. This is here a queer Muslim memoir. So yeah, this memoir is about a queer Muslim woman. Well, here is the synopsis. It starts with growing up in Pakistan, goes to Canada as a refugee. And yeah, I thought this was really interesting. So her faith also plays a role in... Well, plays a role, that's not really putting it properly, I guess. But it's a theme in this book. And obviously how some people were not, yeah, as accepting of. So it says here, so I guess it's not really spoilers. She escaped an arranged marriage at 16. Anyway, I thought this was a nice read. I thought it was interesting just to read her story, and I'm sorry, I'm getting very tired. So I guess I better move on and rest after. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was very, very interesting. Very good. Then the next two about autism anthology. So the first one is Loud Hands, and the subtitle is Autistic People Speaking. This is by a variety of authors. And out of the two, I actually like this one less. I mean, I liked it, but I loved the other one. But we'll get to that. So this one has various pieces written by autistic authors. Some of these pieces came from blog posts, or were published in earlier bits. Some I found more interesting than others, which is obvious. But it stood a bit in contrast with the next autism anthology that I will be talking about. I guess I might as well mention it. The next one is All the Weight of Our Dreams on Living Racialized Autism, it's a subtitle. And this is edited by Lydia X, Brown, E. Ashkenazy, and Morénike Giwa Onaiwu. And that autism anthology is all written by autistics of color, and also a lot of people who were also on the LGBT spectrum in terms of being queer, sexuality, but also gender. And so that one contained a lot more intersectionality, whereas this one, well, a lot of these people I think are white. There were some people of color in this, and also some LGBT I think, but not lots. So yeah, I just feel like it could have shown a bit more diversity in many ways, considering the other, because I loved All the Weight of Our Dreams. This was an amazing anthology, so many great pieces in here, and while I didn't love all of them, I loved a lot of them. Very relatable. So I did relate to this one as well, but there were also some pieces about the Autism Network International and the history of that, which that's fair, but I had also read about that in other books, and that's also not really, I kind of wanted to find more personal pieces sort of thing, which that's also in here later on. But some of these pieces were really great, and I think I will try and find some of these blogs that I mentioned. Now this book was published in, was it 2012? Yeah, so I don't know if that's 10 years ago, so some of these blogs might no longer exist, but yeah. So I rated this 4 out of 5 stars or 8 out of 10 in my system, but I did enjoy it a lot, and some pieces were really good, really spoke to me, others less, so that makes sense. I'm starting to feel really tired, so I've been talking for too long, I'm sorry. So lastly we have, and I just mentioned it already, The Weight of Our Dreams by Lydia X, Brown, E. Ashkenazy, and Morénike Giwa Onaiwu. And this one is quite big. Here is the back. And this is about, like, it says here, what does autism have to do with race? It seems simple, but it's extremely complicated. That's like the first bit. Oh, that's actually a quote from the preface it says here. But this was an excellent book. And in particular with also the racism non-fiction books I've been reading, I really, really like this. And it's not just race and neurodiversity that's discussed in here, but also like the intersection with being queer, with having other disabilities, and yeah, I love this. A favorite, and I will be rereading this for sure at some point in parts of it. And this wasn't just text bits, there were also some bits written in verse and poems. There was one piece that was like drawn like a mini comic. There were also some photographs of art and such. Yeah, I love this. I would definitely recommend that one out of those two. And this had a variety of contributors. These three are the editors, but it had a variety of many people who contributed to this. At the back, at the end, there is a piece about each contributor and their like bio and stuff. And I will definitely check out. Well, there's a few here that have left like a blog or a site or something like that. And I will definitely be checking those out, or like social media names and stuff, because I really, yeah, I love this. Then I would just like to mention my current read, which is 1Q84 or 1Q84 by Haruki Murakami. My best friend started to read this book, or one of my best friends started to read this book, and she was telling me about it, and I was like, well, I have it on my shelf, so I'll start it as well. And well, I am about 2/3 of the way in. She stopped reading it again for now, but I think she will continue with it. And yeah, I actually held off reading this book because I've owned this book for a while, because I thought I had to read 1984 first by George Orwell to enjoy this book, which I haven't read, and I didn't read that one for a while because reasons. Because my said best friend that I was talking about, she thought that it would make me feel triggered in some ways, so she thought I better not read 1984. But then later on she retracted that statement, so I guess now I'm good to read it. But also it turns out I don't need to read that to enjoy this, so I'm reading this. This is my first novel by Murakami, but I have read a short story before. Was it just called Scheherazade, or was it something Scheherazade? I don't quite remember. It was at that time, but I think maybe still is, a short story that you could read for free online on this website, New York Magazine something. I don't quite remember. I have some of his other books on my shelf down there somewhere, behind here, down here somewhere, I think. Somewhere in oh, back there. But yeah, in the bowl there. Anyway, this book is a bit hard to describe. Here is the back, which sounds really a bit vague. And yeah, it is hard to describe this book though. I mean, I haven't finished it yet, so it's not, I didn't want to just do a review of it here or anything, because obviously I haven't finished it yet. I'm 2/3 of the way through. But it reads quite easily, considering how big it is. Now my edition has 1,318 pages, so 1318, which is a lot. My best friend, or one of my best friends, she reads it on her Kindle, and hers had, I think, 900 something pages. So I don't know if it's because like this edition has a bit of a bigger font or what. This is not a short book. It's split up into like 3 parts or books. They're called books, but yeah, they're really one story. So yeah, on the back it talks about 2 main characters, Tengo and Awamame. They are the 2 main characters, and yeah, I'm liking this a lot so far. I'm enjoying it a lot, and it reads easily, considering you think, oh, that's such a big book, that's gonna take ages to read through, and the size intimidated me, but it reads more easily than you would think. So like, I don't know if you can see it, that's the font. It just, I don't know, it's just, especially compared to all the non-fiction that I've been reading, it wasn't as hard to read or something as I thought it was going to be before. But again, I haven't finished it yet, so... but yeah, so far I'm really liking this. Some bits are a bit weird. Now, I don't have that much experience with Haruki Murakami. I've just read that one short story, and that short story I read, Shihiro's something, I don't quite remember the title, but I will look it up. That's a retelling of something, like of the 1001 Arabian Nights stories, I think. So, and I read that some years ago, so I don't quite remember. I do have other books of his on my shelf there, on my general TBR. But yeah, anyway, I'm liking this so far, and unless I finish this today, which I don't think is that likely, you will be hearing about this in a future video. So this is all the books that I've read or that I finished in April, because like a few of these I actually started at the end of March. Well, actually these I started halfway through March, but anyway. And then this is my current read. So yeah, I'm sorry that this was a long video. I think it will be a long video, although I don't think the footage is like 2 hours. So hopefully it's more like an hour and a half, but we will see. And yeah, I feel very worn out now, so I need to rest. But at least I got this filming done, and then I can edit it when I feel up for that. Sorry if this angle was a bit weird, if it didn't work for you. The lighting is also maybe not great. But anyway, I just hope you enjoyed this video. Or that you at least enjoyed listening to the parts of the books that you wanted to check out, listen to. I hope your reading in April went well. In May I'm doing a couple of buddy reads, which are downstairs, and I'm upstairs now, so I can't show you these books. But I'm reading a couple books together with some booktube friends. So I'll be reading those. I'll obviously finish this. And I'm gonna try to read some picture books for the Picture This 2022, which was in April. But yeah, I was already reading 10 books at once, so I didn't want to add more to that. But I would like to do that, so fingers crossed. And I would also like, yeah, depending on how things go, to go to the library again, because I haven't been there in a while, and I have been reading a lot of books in English, so I could do it with some Dutch books. And actually, at the moment, I checked, well, because I checked book statistics, I have read more non-fiction than fiction this year, and so I think it would be really nice to read some Dutch children's books and such, and I like to, that's, yeah. I tend to go to the children's and young adult section of the library more than the adult section. But yeah, I've been reading a lot of books in English, and I think it'd be good to read some books in Dutch as well, and, you know, not too many books at once. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'm sorry it was a bit messy. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in my next one. Have a great month in May, hopefully. Bye!